Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Leaders Podcast. I'm joined with my special guest, Alexey Solomanidin from Russia in Moscow. Welcome, Alex. Good to have you on the show.
Hi, Mike. Good to hear you.
Good to see you too. So Alex is head of a leading consulting and investigative firm in Russia called Vlasta-Consulting. Vlasta operates throughout Russia, Kazakhstan, Belarus and Kyrgyzstan. Alexey is a senior figure in the industry and we're so happy to have Alexey on board. So Alex, just introduce us a little bit about yourself just to get the conversation going.
Thank you very much, Mike. As you mentioned, my name is Alexey Solomanidin, and I joined the industry in 2006. And actually, I started seeing a little bit of the investigative industry in 2005 when I visited my first WAD meeting, which was in Moscow in Russia. And I was so impressed by it. It was like an eye-opening event. Like, when you grow up, your whole world as a kid is like your parents. Then your whole world is like a school and so on. You continue. And seeing one of the association events, it's the same. It's like growing up and realizing that the world is much bigger than you thought. And that was amazing. And that probably was the moment I decided to join to this sphere, to this business, and started my way on this trip.
Fantastic. So your first WAD meeting was in Russia many years ago. Tell us a little bit about the WAD. What I know it's the World Association of Detectives, and we're both members there, but tell us a little bit more.
Sure. WAD is, it's kind of, it's not very good to say that it's a family, but to me now, after all these years, it's like my international family. Whenever I travel, I think, okay, I have these members from this country here, and I can meet these people there, and it's actually also a very big source of knowledge and mentorship. And it really helps a lot in some situations and cases where you don't know how to act and what to do better. And there are all these leaders, the older people that have this wisdom and can give you some advice. Also, it's a group of friends internationally and at the same time professionals that can share their knowledge, mentorship, and it's actually one of the best decisions that I made was to join WAD. It's not only WAD, there are other associations, but WAD holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah, thanks for that, Alex. And you've committed your own personal time as well to associations by, joining the boards, going through the chairs, and taking responsibility right up to being president and chairman of a global association like the World Association of Detectives. Your roles in these associations, how has that helped you develop as a leader?
Actually, it helped a lot. And thing is, when you run something that is like 100 people, like a company, and you think that's quite big, or you run like a department which is like 10 people, it's easier. But at the moment you realize that if it's 1,000 people, if it's like 200,000 people, the principles, if you follow some principles, rules, and it's all structured and well shaped, it's not kind of easy, but it's not that difficult as I thought. And to tell the truth, I was willing to help developing WAD from my side to the extent that I could, because with the technology and the evolving a new technology like artificial intelligence, new online platforms which were needed, and we recently found out that they are very important during the COVID. And I wanted to put my effort on the table and to have this impact to help developing the association further.
Yeah, fantastic. And in terms of operating where you do in some of the jurisdictions, the work that you've done, local associations throughout your region, do they play the same part? How can that work a little bit for, let's say, the younger investigator looking to come into the industry? what steps, what advice, and how would the local associations play a part in that too?
I can tell you that it's a little bit different, and first of all, I think that the ethical and cultural standards are much more different in the associations, the local and international. And bringing to the association the head of the Russian Association of Detectives also helped to develop the Russian Association of Detectives, because there is a group of people that has been there for years, and there is a certain way of running meetings and everything. But once you see how things can be done, how high standard could be, you cannot continue the same way in your own hometown and your own national association. So it helps developing the local association as well. And merging this association was also very fruitful for I think both of it. It also helps a lot having this experience of international colleagues with the law perspective, with the changes in the legislation, what could be done in one country, what could not be done in other countries, and then you have this clear picture of how things should be when you run international investigations. And this is really important, because people think that if something is legal in their own country, it's legal everywhere, and it's not so. And once you share this knowledge and experience and hear from other colleagues from all over the world, you realize that it's so different everywhere, and you have to be careful.
That's a great point in terms of understanding the legalities, right? From jurisdiction to jurisdiction, and a platform like the World Association of Detectives gives you access to other professionals in different jurisdictions, where maybe the processes are a little bit different in your own country than a foreign country. Which is a great point that I want to bring on to, is the private and public synergies. So some jurisdictions around the world have private investigator or private professionals and public sector law enforcement collaborate on particular cases. What's the appetite, or talk us through the steps where you're from in Russia and some of the other Stan regions, where public and private synergy work together or not? How does that work for you?
For our company, it really it's a huge collaboration with the law enforcement and the public and private sector. I know it has not been the same for all colleagues, but in our case, the big part of the work we do is brand protection. And this is the key point, is the collaboration with law enforcement, because at the end of the day, you can investigate, you can find the production of fakes, you can find all the bad guys that are doing this. But if it's not leading to the police raid and to the seizure, it means you just wasted your time, and you just know more now, but it doesn't bring any result. So having these investigations with law enforcement together brought so much benefit to the client, to the work, and to ourselves. And we realized that it's the best way to do these investigations is to start from is to bring the law enforcement to the collaboration from the start. So they have much better abilities from the operational side. They can do a lot of things legally, what private detective or investigator cannot do. So having this together, together with the client's money that can provide test purchases and agents for hours needed for police, that was the kicking point for having the big results what we're known for.
So are most private sector investigators in Russia have a career in law enforcement and come into private sector? Because what we've found in other jurisdictions is this used to be the case years ago, where people with a career in the police or a career in military intelligence then come into the private sector at later years in life and finish their career in the private sector. Whereas now we're seeing a lot more younger people coming into the industry. How is the employment career situation
I
in
think it's
Russia?
a global trend everywhere. Like before, it was the very logical step. Like you're in the service, finish, and you go to the private sector and start like a detective company, investigating firm. And it used to be the same in Russia, but what we see now, more and more people are getting inspired, and they go into this profession without having this background. And I wouldn't say that it helps them. I mean, it doesn't bring any obstacles to them. And for example, the head of our operative department now, he has no military or police background, and he's doing really fine. Like he knows a lot more than some people that are coming from this industry, from this background. And it's also very positive that many young people, they see maybe the movies, they see some Netflix series, and they are getting involved in this profession. And it helps them to think more openly. They don't have these like limits when for years you've been shaped that like, okay, you have to stay in these like frames. Sometimes they go over too much, but you have to have a strong mentorship for them in order to bring them back to, okay, this is what we can do, this is what we cannot do. And but having this open mind really brings new ideas. And this is also something we see in WED, in ABI, and other associations. So, and this also very good, because now the technology is evolving so quickly that older generation might just miss some things, and just not use very good tools in their work. And the younger people, they are putting it on the table. They're saying, look, we need to use these things.
Yeah, definitely advantages of growing up in the private sector as well as coming out from public sector service. I agree. So what challenges can you see younger generation investigators in Russia trying to join the industry? Is it as closed as it used to be, or are there changes
I think the
developing?
challenges are also changing as the overall situation is changing. But the overall, the global and challenge that has always been there is the legislation that from some point lets you go and do something, but not too much. So it's I think everywhere there are these restrictions where in order to have a proper result, you have to be very creative in order to stay in the legal side and the legal field, and still get into a result that is desired by the client. And I think that this challenge has been since ages, and this is something what we see now as well. We're still using the old legislation law from 90s, which has been modified slightly, but it keeps changing. And we as an association of Russian investigators, we also try to bring some ideas and to influence it and to shape it the way that could be better for everybody, and for the government, for the private sector, and for the people, in order to make them feel safe that their lives will not be interrupted legally by some private detective jumping into their window. And I believe that it's global. It's global. It, like everywhere, the trend is so. And with the younger people, I believe the challenge is to be accepted by this group of older people that have this background of military, police. Like they look down on them, like, okay, boy, what can you do? Like, and I don't have any military or police background, and I know what I'm saying. So you have to like prove it to this group that okay, I don't have this background, but I still can do a lot of things and still bring some value to the table.
That's the word right there, Alexei, is value, right? We all come from different backgrounds, and bringing something different sometimes has a lot more advantages in a group where processes and steps are relatively the same. So I agree, and I've seen these trends change, and most of the other leaders I've spoken to have said the same thing as you, in terms of globally we're seeing a lot more interest in private sector professional investigation work from younger generations. And maybe it was a career that was potentially in the shadows and hidden in the past, and it's become a lot more open, a lot more, and a lot more reason for, all types of individuals, corporates, legal teams, brands, whatever, and the clients that you guys investigate and assist, but a requirement for a private sector support. So I agree. Let's move on to some of your leadership philosophy. You've done remarkably well for a younger generation of an individual. You've hit the highs in associations and you run a successful enterprise. I just want to pick on that a little bit in terms of the steps you took. That are there any shortcuts out there? Give us some insight, give us some advice, because you've achieved quite a lot in a compared, in a relatively short space of time. And I want to pick your brain and see if you can provide any value and
Thank you,
insights.
Mike. We're really glad to hear that. And to tell the truth, there is one little thing that I keep saying, and I think that could be put on this shelf of philosophy from my side. And leadership is about serving others. And in any situation where you find yourself, you can think either I can use this situation or what I can do for this situation to make it better. And if you change your way of thinking this way, and you're not trying to find and use some value, you're bringing the value. And other people, they can feel it, they can sense it, and even on the business meeting and the communication, you can always feel that, okay, somebody's trying to get some advantage of you and trying to use you somehow. But you can also feel if it's really something valuable and people are offering it to make it better. So this is my idea. Like if you can see even small little thing that can make the situation better, just go for it without thinking what it will bring you back. Sometimes it will not bring anything, but you're still on this way, and it keeps you moving towards the right direction.
Yeah, sound advice. Good advice, Alexey. How do you see the industry change in the next generations ahead of you? Moving forward, not only in Russia but globally. What could you provide some insight in terms of what you're seeing and the feedback you get?
I think that we are living in a very interesting moment when the technology is moving and so fast, and we are getting new tools and new artificial intelligence, analytics of the big data, and something that used to take like a couple of days or weeks to make, now it's like 30 seconds with the AI, and access to the information, that's amazing. So from one side, our industry is getting to a really interesting and good point. On the other side, because the things that we are fighting against, like some bad guys, some wrongdoings, they have the same technology and the same access. So what we see now, these scammers that can change the face, the voice, they can fake anybody, they can copy your ID and use it for calling to your relatives' banks or something. That's really scary, and it's moving and developing so fast. So we have to do that and also be on the same page or 2 pages ahead in order to be able to do something against this. And to have this our investigations be successfully, we have to be aware of all these new technologies. And this is, by the way, gets us back to the idea of the associations. Because when you're on your own or your company, it's you can be on you can be on the track and track some technologies, some ideas, and maybe 10 years ago, easy, you could be like ahead of everybody. But now, without sharing this experience of others, the people who devoted, for example, our last conference, a guy is full-time job is drone investigations, and I have this experience, but it's like a really small experience to have a full picture of what is possible, what is impossible by this technology. And after his presentation, I realized that, wow, Probably I didn't know much about this. I only tried it a little bit, and the same with other topics. So sharing this knowledge, sharing this mentorship, it helps you grow and to be on the same page with the colleagues all over the world.
Great point, and it's leveraging expertise, right? You've got experts that, like you said earlier, specific in one field, and if you can find that right expert and leverage that knowledge and share that knowledge with other experts, that's the benefit of all these global associations that provide the networking and the opportunity for us to get together. Okay, so if you want to find out any more information about the Association of Russian Detectives, you can see the website here. If you want to find out more about the World Association of Detectives, you can see the website here. And here is also Alexey's contact details. Just before we leave, Alexey, I want just the finishing wise words of wisdom for you that you're going to provide all aspiring investigators out there around the globe.
Be active, travel to conferences, meet people. If you're not doing anything, probably the world will not bring it back to you. And if you can do something within the association, within the industry, within your company, within your country, just go for it and see what happens.
Brilliant. Great bit of advice. Thank you, Alexey, a leader from Moscow in Russia. Be active, get out there, network, join associations, and network and meet as many professional colleagues around the world. Thank you, everyone, for listening. It's another episode of Leaders.